So last year I read 65 books, which is more than what I normally read, and I did change some things in my life, in my routine, in order to achieve that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. What can you do to read more books? Well, first thing you want to do, you want to reserve time for reading. Every day before I go to bed, I just read, and that's my leisure time. It's like my favorite time of the day, because if I did all my work during the day, that's, you know, my reward. And what happened before is that I would procrastinate most of the day. Okay, not most of the day, but I would procrastinate a little bit, and then at night I haven't yet finished all my work, so I wouldn't really spend time doing anything that I actually wanted to do. Having a schedule helped me have like a leisure time like set during my day. That worked really well for me, helped me keep reading books constantly. Tip number 2, always know what you're gonna read next. If you just finish a novel and you don't know what you're gonna read next, chances are you're not gonna read anything. So what I do is this: I have like piles of books divided by genre, and I order this pile by priority, like the books I want to read the most are on top. Once I finish a novel, if I already don't know what I want to read next, I just pick whatever I'm in the mood for, like the top one on the pile, and that works really well for me. What you don't want to do is stop the flow, I guess, because if you finish a novel, you don't pick up something right afterwards, chances are you're just gonna go through a period without reading, and that's not great. And my third tip, and probably the most important tip here, is listen to audiobooks. I used to be very against audiobooks without really even knowing if I would like them or not. The first audiobook that I ever listened to was Steve Jobs. I just thought that listening to a biography would work better for me. I thought it would feel more like a documentary, and I thought that would feel more natural. But it turns out like my favorite parts of that biography were the ones that felt more like narrative. So finally I picked up a book that was narrative, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Gone Girl, and that audiobook, by the way, is fantastic. Audiobooks are very not demanding. You can listen to an audiobook anywhere, anytime, like if you're doing the dishes, you can listen to an audiobook. And one thing that I do that actually helped me a lot is that I always listen to audiobooks when I am exercising. What I thought is this: what if I combine something that I hate with something that I absolutely love? Turns out it was an excellent idea. If I'm reading a really good book, I will look forward to exercise, which is, trust me, is not the standard for me. If I'm doing nothing with my brain, I put an audiobook on. Audiobooks changed my life. You're gonna just transform every single boring moment of your life into magical moments. And my next step is read during the weekends. Weekends are, you know, the days that you can do whatever you want to do. It's your leisure time. But sometimes I feel that you spend most of that time like watching Netflix or doing nothing on the internet. You don't necessarily relax. You don't necessarily do something you want to do. And if you like reading, you can include reading in your weekend. And if you feel like, I don't want to pick up a physical book and actually read it, I want to do something a little bit more brainless, what you can do and what I do is that I just listen to an audiobook in bed, and it's so relaxing. Just listen to something that feels entertaining to you. It's not a time to read maybe that cerebral book. You'll be surprised how relaxing that can be. You can just, you know, kind of immerse yourself in the book and forget about the world. It's an amazing feeling. My next tip for you guys is read more than one book simultaneously. I usually read at the same time one craft book, one physical book, one graphic novel, and one audiobook. I know that sounds like a lot, but actually I read them at different times. So I listen to my audiobook when I'm basically not using my brain. What happens is that most nights, if I have an extra time, I will read a little bit of my craft book, and then I'll read my actual physical book. And the graphic novel I read when I go to the bathroom. And don't look at me like that, because everybody does that. Okay, so my next tip for you guys is stop reading a bad book. You know, if you read like 100 pages or so of a book and you're not connecting with it, chances are you're not going to enjoy that novel, so just stop lying to yourself and stop this. That sounds terrible, but you know, if that's the case, I will stop reading the book. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people who enjoy the book, but it's not for me, and you just have to be okay with that. Branch out, read different things, but if it doesn't work for you, then move on. The problem with, you know, insisting on reading a book that you're not enjoying is that chances are you're gonna make excuses to not read. And when you realize a month went by and you haven't finished that novel yet. I have one extra tip about audiobook. Try to listen to your audiobooks in fast mode. If you think that's overwhelming, just start with something a little bit faster. But trust me, once you get used to like the faster speeds, you will never go back. I think it's much more immersive. It just captures my attention much more. I have a hard time focusing, and if I listen to it in the faster mode, it demands more of my attention. At least I recommend trying it. Start at a slow speed, build up from there, and see if that works for you. And my last tip for you is remember to enjoy it. And I tend to forget about this one. I love optimizing my life. And that is great because I make the most of my time, but it can also be a trap. For instance, I have been wanting to read The Name of the Wind for the longest time, and the reason why I kept postponing it is because it's a very long book. You could use it as a brick to build houses. It would take a lot of time to read it, and it would be harder to achieve my reading goal of the year if I read that book, so I just kind of push it aside, and that's not good because it's a book that I genuinely want to read. Remember, it's supposed to be fun. If you want to read the book, even if it's not going to be, ideal according to your goals or whatever, read it anyway. And the same goes for the other tips that I mentioned here. If having a routine takes your joy of, reading a book, don't do that. If having a reading goal also gets in the way of enjoying a book, don't do that. At least take it less seriously. Reading books is supposed to be entertaining. The same as, you go watch a movie and that's entertaining. Books are also entertaining. So don't forget to have fun and don't get so caught up in reading mountains of books. I think that's really important. That's probably the best one other than audiobooks. That's the real deal there. That's it for today, guys. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any tips for me, I would love to hear from you guys. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below as well. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button here below, and if you want to watch more videos about books and writing and stuff like that, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. I had my heels on. They hurt, but I need to be taller.